It is my third video on Z transform. In first two videos we have seen the Z transform, definition of Z transform, where Z transform is used, then problems on Z transform, a raised to n un, what is the Z transform, when Z transform ROC is exterior to unit circle or circle of radius a, when the ROC is interior to the circle of radius a. When we have seen a raised to n un, the sequence was causal. In case of causal sequence, x of z, whatever Z transform we get, a raised to n un, that the Z transform was 1 divided by 1 minus a z inverse, and ROC was exterior to circle of radius a. In case of another example, second example, the example was x of n equal to minus a raised to n u of minus n minus 1. The sequence was anti-causal sequence starting from minus infinity and ending with minus 1. So in that case, after taking the Z transform, it is observed that Z transform is found to be same, that is 1 divided by 1 minus a z inverse, which was also the Z transform of a raised to n un. Only difference was the difference in ROC. Here in case of anti-causal sequence, the ROC is interior to the circle of radius a, and in case of a raised to n un, that is causal sequence, the ROC is exterior to circle of radius a. So when it is a causal sequence, what we should remember is that the Z transform, ROC of the Z transform, region of convergence, that is the values of Z for which Z transform exists, that is outside the circle of radius a. And in case of anti-causal sequence, Z transform exists only for all those values of Z which are inside the circle of radius a. So existence of Z transform means mod of x of Z is less than infinity. For Z is less than infinity, I am taking mod because x of Z is a function of Z, where Z is a complex variable, and whenever we are talking about the finite value or infinite value of x of z, we have to talk about its magnitude, or otherwise we have to compare its imaginary value separately with infinity, real value separately with infinity. Now in this after having all this background with Z transform, I am going to now for properties of Z transform. Now let us see first two properties of the Z transform. The proofs I will not be giving to you. I will explain what is the ROC and what will happen if we combine two sequences, what is the resultant Z transform and what is the ROC of that Z transform. When the sequence is shifted by towards right or left, what happens to the ROC of Z transform and what happens to earlier Z transform. Likewise, I will be explaining each of the property, and then on each of these properties I will take the problems, and which will help you to understand how to find Z transform and how to find the ROC of the Z transform. In the morning session or video which we have prepared in the second part of the Z transform, or the second video on the Z transform, in that I told you that Z transform is useful when you are having discrete time sequence and discrete time system. It is exclusively used for analysis of discrete time signals and discrete time system. And if you are having difference equation, in case of continuous domain we are having differential equation, in discrete domain we are having difference equation. Difference equation is the representation of the system. So any digital system, whatever digital systems which are there, they can be represented with the help of difference equation, and Z transform of that difference equation, if we are finding, it is similar to solving the applying the Laplace transform on the differential equation. So now let us move on to our properties of the Z transform. The first property is linearity. Like Fourier transform, the explanation is same. If you are having two sequences, let us say x1, Z transform is x1z with ROC is R1. So some reason for which this Z transform is existing, set of values of Z at which Z transform of x1 is existing. x1 n, the Z transform is x1z, and inverse Z transform, this arrow indicates that inverse Z transform is x1 of n. And second sequence x2 n, the Z transform is x2z, and inverse Z transform of x2z is x2n with ROC equal to R2. So x1n and x2n, their Z transforms are x1z and x2z, and their ROCs are R1 and R2. The ROCs are different. So we can have let us say x1n equal to 3 raised to n un, then Z transform will be 1 divided by 1 minus 3 Z inverse, and ROC will be mod of Z greater than 3. And here suppose if I say x2n is 1 by 2 raised to n un, so ROC is greater than 1 by 2 and Z transform is 1 divided by 1 minus Z inverse. So whatever is the common region, one is saying mod of Z is greater than 1 by 2, other is saying mod of Z is greater than 3. So whatever is the common region, so common region is what? Greater than 3. So greater than 1 by 2, it is greater than 1 by 2 means 1 by 2 to infinity, greater than 3 means 3 to infinity. What is the common? The common is 3 to infinity. So it is similar to that, the ROC is R1 intersection R2. So when I combine two signals, linear combination of two signals in time domain, if I take the Z transform of that linear combination, then the resultant Z transform is also linear combination of their individual Z transform. Right? Whenever we are having two signals, and if I take the linear combination of these two signals, let us say A1 x1n plus A2, or A x1n plus A1 x1n and A2 x2n. These are the scalars. A1 and A2, they are the scalars. If we combine two sequences in this fashion, we say it is a linear combination of x1n and x2n. So if we combine sequences in this fashion in time domain, in Z domain, their Z transform also gets combined in the similar fashion. So linear combination of sequences in time domain is equal to linear combinations of their respective Z transform. And if Z transform of first sequence is R1 and second that ROC of the first Z transform of first sequence and ROC of Z transform of second sequence is R1 and R2, then ROC of the resultant Z transform, if I say it is Y of n, then ROC of Y of Z, if I say here Y of Z, it is a resultant Z transform, and this Y of Z, the ROC is going to be R1 intersection R2. So linearity property state that if you combine signals in a linear fashion, linear combination of signals in time domain is equivalent to linear combinations of their Z transforms in Z domain, and there is a intersection of ROCs. If you are having n signals, there will be n ROCs, and there is an intersection of all n ROCs. This is the linearity property of the Z transform. The next property of the Z transform is time shifting. In time domain, if you shift the signal by n naught, if n naught is positive, then the signal gets shifted towards right. If n naught is negative, then signal gets shifted towards left. If the signals get shifted towards left or right, what happens to earlier Z transform, which was there for unshifted signal? So here the Z transform of x of n is x of Z, ROC is R, and then if signal is shifted by n naught, if it is shifted by n naught, right, where suppose n naught is positive, then it is Z raised to minus n0. Earlier Z transform gets multiplied by Z raised to n0, Z raised to minus n0, right, into x of Z. So earlier Z transform gets multiplied by Z raised to minus n0 if n0 is positive. If n0 is negative, it will be Z raised to plus n0 x of Z. So earlier ROC was R, and new ROC will be same with addition or deletion of Z equal to 0 or Z equal to infinity. If suppose Z equal to minus infinity, then in that case what happens? Z equal to 0 is not possible, because Z equal to minus 1 by Z will be 1 by Z, and for Z equal to 0 it is 1 by 0, which is infinity. And if we are having Z raised to plus, then let us say n0 is plus, n0 is minus, so here you get Z raised to plus n0, and in that case Z equal to infinity, Z transform does not exist. So Z to the power positive, so Z equal to infinity is not available in the ROC, and if Z raised to minus k, if like that situation is there, then 1 by Z comes, that in that case Z equal to 0 is not possible, provided this x of Z, that x of Z is not having those powers of z raised to exactly equal, that is z raised to minus n0, and if there is a factor z equal to in this which is z to the power n0, in that case ROC will not change. That is why I am saying ROC equal to R with addition or removal of z equal to 0 or z equal to infinity. Sometimes may not be required to add or delete that z equal to 0 or z equal to infinity. ROC may be same if this x of z is cancelling this term. So we have seen linearity property, and also we have seen the time shifting property. Time shifting property says that if in time domain x of n is shifted by n0, then in z domain earlier z transform gets multiplied by z raised to minus n0. And what happens to ROC? ROC remains as it is with modification, that is addition or deletion of z equal to 0 or z equal to infinity. That is the only change which is take place in the ROC. After explaining these two properties of z transform, let us go with the third property of the z transform. After studying the linearity property and time shifting property, let us study the time reversal property of z transform. In time reversal property, what we do is, in time domain we are taking the mirror image of the signal. So signal is rotated about the origin, so x of n is replaced by x of minus n, mirror image of the signal. So in z domain what happens? If x of n has z transform x of z, then if n is replaced by minus n, in z domain z is replaced by z inverse. So what happens to ROC? So here ROC is R. In that case, in this case ROC becomes 1 by R. Here suppose R equal to ROC is mod of z greater than 2. Here what happens here? The ROC is saying that your mod of z is less than 1 by 2. So it is something like that which we are having in case of time reversal property. Time reversal property of z transform says that if we replace n by minus n in time domain, in z domain z will be replaced by z inverse, and what happens to ROC is R is replaced by 1 by R. And another very important property of z transform is convolution. We know that whenever signal is passed through an LTI system, output of the LTI system follows the convolution. So yn, which is nothing but convolution of xn with hn. In the standard we say that your system is denoted by h of n, and when input signal is x of n, in that case what happens, the output is always h of n convolution with x of n, that is your output. Here in this case also, if we are having two signals x1n and x2n, x1n has x1n has z transform x1z and ROC is R1, x2n has z transform x2z, ROC R2. Then convolution of x1 and x2, convolution of signal in time domain is equivalent to multiplication of their transform in z domain. In z domain what happens? Transform gets multiplied, and what happens to ROC? Resultant ROC is intersection of ROC of x1 of z with ROC of x2 of z. So R1 is the ROC of x1z, R2 is the ROC of x2z, then resultant ROC R, which is intersection of R1 with R2. So convolution in time domain is equivalent to multiplication in z domain. Many times this property is used to solve the complex problems in time domain. So when we convert these complex problems in the z domain, we get many times we get this one z transform or resultant convolution signal very easily. So what is the process? First find the z transform of first sequence, then find the z transform of second sequence, multiply their z transforms, and whatever z transform we get the inverse of that. So that is the result of convolution in time domain. So this is very important property. You will understand the importance of this property when the signals are infinite in nature in time domain. Whenever you are going for finding the convolution, it takes lot of time. So using this property, as I told you earlier, algebraic manipulations are very easy in z domain compared to other domain. In frequency domain also it is difficult to find the Fourier transform as well as multiply those Fourier transform and get the inverse. But in Z domain it is many times by inspection we can find the inverse of the given Z transform. So after having these two properties, these two properties and earlier two properties, four properties with us on the Z transform, let us see remaining properties of Z transform. So dear friends, up till now we have seen four properties of Z transform. First was linearity, second was time shifting, then fourth was time reversal, and then fifth was convolution property of Z transform. In all these properties we have seen what happens to the Z transform if you combine the linear time domain signal in the linear fashion. When we shift the time domain signal, what happens to Z domain? When we convert to signal in time domain, what happens in Z domain? And when we this one take the mirror image of the signal or flip the signal around origin, what happens to Z transform and its ROC. Now let us see what is initial value theorem and final value theorem property of Z transform. So initial value theorem property I am taking at the beginning because it is very simple. Initial value theorem, if x of n is a causal sequence, we know that the signal is causal if it is 0 before 0, that is x of n equal to 0, n is negative. So it is a causal signal, and in case of causal signal, if you are having its Z transform as x of z, so if you expand this Z transform, you are having Z transform from n equal to 0 to infinity. So the first term is x0, then second one will be x1 Z inverse, x2 z raised to minus 2, x3 z raised to minus 3. So if you observe that Z transform and put limit z equal to infinity, so what happens? The first term is x0, multiplier is 1, second term x1 z raised to minus 1, third term x2 z raised to minus 2, x3 z raised to minus 3, x4 z raised to minus 4. So the first term is not having multiplier z or z inverse, but rest of the terms of this x of z, they are having z inverse. And if I put z equal to infinity, so definitely z inverse will be 0. So x of 0 is equal to limit z tending to infinity x of z. It is the initial value theorem. When we want to find initial value of a signal, in that case, that is value at n equal to 0, we can use initial value theorem. So requirement is signal has to be causal signal. Then in that case we can always find initial value. Now let us study the final value theorem. In final value theorem, the signal has to be causal signal, as like in case of initial value theorem, the signal has to be causal signal, and about the poles, all its poles should lie inside the unit circle except first order pole at z equal to 1. So what I am saying is, here the signal required in case of final value theorem is a causal signal, restriction on the poles, the factors of denominator should lie inside the unit circle, and except possibly for first order pole at z equal to 1, that is only permitted. Then we can find steady state value, that is steady state value means value at end value or value at n equal to infinity. So x of infinity can be obtained by multiplying the z transform of x of n of factor which is 1 minus z inverse, and taking limit with respect to z, and that z tending to 1. So z tending to 1, 1 minus z inverse into x of z. So x of n has z transform, x of n has z transform x of z, and x of n is causal. So ROC of x of z is outside the unit circle, right, or outside the circle of whatever may be the radius, that depends on what kind of x of n you are having. All its pole strictly lie inside the unit circle, so factors of the denominator of the z transform, they should fall inside the unit circle, except possibly for first order pole, that is at z equal to 1. The pole at z equal to 1 means in the denominator we are having factor z minus 1. Yeah, if that kind of situation is there, in that case we can find value of time domain signal at n equal to infinity. So that is final value of x of n can be obtained by multiplying earlier z transform by 1 minus z inverse and taking the limit z equal to 1, by taking limit at z tending to 1. So whatever result we get, that is equal to the final value of x of n, that is x of n at n equal to infinity. So this is the final value theorem, which is one of the property of Z transform. Now up till now we have seen 6 properties of the Z transform. In the next video we'll be going with remaining properties of Z transform and problems on these properties. Let us stop till new video comes.